Hi, and welcome back, my friends. It's great to have you here. Rush Limbaugh behind the Golden EIB Microphone. Broadcast excellence all yours. 800-282-2882 if you want to be on the program. I'll tell you what, I'm thinking here of jipping a little bit of the press briefing coming up with Sean Spicer. He had the first, it actually was a briefing on Saturday. It didn't take any questions. So this will actually be the first interactive press briefing of the Trump administration with Sean Spicer in the White House briefing room. And it's bound to be filled with fireworks. And our microphones are everywhere, wherever there is any activity that matters. And so it is scheduled to start any time now, and it's going to be up to me on a whim whether or not I decide to jip it. But a little note for our affiliates, if we do jip it, we will pause for our normal spot breaks. We're not going to go wall-to-wall with it. So stand by for that if it happens, because the odds are pretty good that I'm going to jip it. Now, one of the things that we talked about... wait. Grab a couple sound... I just want to get these done and out of the way. We played Ashley Judd. I want you to hear Madonna. Now, Madonna has since recanted her expressed desire to blow up the White House because some people got to her and so forth. And by the way, I don't think that constitutes a serious, real threat, because it's a mindless twit of a woman who's lost her mind. All of these people have lost their minds. And my tendency is to be enraged and angry at them. Some people think you should feel sorry for them, and that's, they don't feel sorry for us. And this is political warfare. Madonna hasn't been right for I don't know how long. Madonna's not been, the needle not pointing north there either. The elevator doesn't go to the top floor. Madonna's always been an order of fries short of a Happy Meal, if you ask me. They've been entertaining and all that. Wait, it looks like the press briefing nope, it hasn't. I was fooled by videotape. You know what? They're going to have these mindless arguments about crowd size. Do you know it's irrelevant? It doesn't mean anything. Let me ask you, if the crowds, and this is not the case, but if the crowds for Trump's inauguration were among the smallest, what does it matter? What does it matter? It matters not a whit to Trump's agenda. It doesn't change the fact that he won the election at all. What it does is present the media with a bunch of different narrative opportunities to carry forward the lie that a small crowd equals the Russians stole the election. A small crowd equals there never really has been that much enthusiasm for Trump. But they ignored Trump's crowds at his rallies throughout by saying they don't matter. Trump would fill the arena, 10,000, 15, 20,000, 25,000 people. He'd fill the arena, and it was overflowing, standing room outside. The media would say, it doesn't mean anything. You can't look at crowd size and have it mean anything about votes. They routinely told us this, as they wanted to ignore the fact that Trump filled arenas and Hillary couldn't fill gymnasiums. Crowd size didn't matter. Now, all of a sudden, crowd size is everything. Inauguration crowd size. Never mind the fact that Washington, D.C. and the surrounding environs voted Hillary 70%. People who wanted to go to the Trump inauguration had to come in from way far away, and nevertheless did. But the media was lying and faking side-by-side photos. They would take a picture of a Trump inauguration 3 hours early, and they would show some areas that were never going to be populated with crowd. They were security areas. They would show them as empty, and then they'd put that side by side with an Obama inauguration from 2009 at the moment he was sworn in, and they would try to say, see, the point is, nobody cares about Trump. This is all a joke. This shouldn't have happened. Trump's illegitimate. That's all it means. It's not going to change one thing. Now, here's the question for you. Trump fights back on all of it. He pushes back on what he thinks are lies they are telling about crowd size. Lies about TV audience for his inauguration. Lies on everything. Does it make you nervous or not? Do you wish he would ignore it? Do some of you think I wish he would be above this? Some of this stuff ignore, some of it hit back. He hits back on all of it. Does it bother you? I'm asking those of you who voted for Trump, does it bother you that he hits back? Do you wish he'd forget it and move on? Or do you like it? But it doesn't matter. The media is picking things that don't matter to the substance of anything. They're trying to use symbolism over substance. They're trying to take advantage here of pictures, lying pictures that they can create, and then assign a meaning to them. And folks, it is all oriented toward making you doubt what happened. If you're a Trump supporter, it's designed to make you think that maybe this is illegitimate. Maybe there isn't that much enthusiasm for Trump. And then that is supposed to make you less devoted to Trump. Because here is an important point, and this does matter. And Peggy Noonan made the point in her column. Peggy's always upset. Peggy's always wringing her hands about things. She made an observation that's right. You go back and you look at Obama, when he's inaugurated in 2009, he got a lot of people on his side. He had the media. He had the media big on his side. The whole Democrat Party on his side. He had a lot of people backing him up. He had a lot of people pushing him forward and validating. Trump has no one except the people that voted for him. Trump has no one in Washington. He's got his advisors. He's got some Republicans. But the entire Republican and, Washington establishment is opposed to him. The media is trying to undermine him. The Democrat Party is trying to undermine him as they set up what will no doubt be impeachment proceedings when they think it's time to do it. That will happen. Trump has nothing but the people that voted for him. And if the media can soften some of their verve, if the media can succeed in separating some Trump supporters from him, then their theory is he will be weakened even further and exposed even more as fraudulently and illegitimately elected and illegitimately serving. And it is a big, but you know this the minute I mention this to you. When I say Obama had the media behind, you know how much that was worth. Bush didn't have the media behind him. He had his party behind him. And he had the people that voted for him. And look what they were able to do. They were able to drive Bush's approval numbers. It took them 5 years, but they were maybe 6 years, but they got Bush's approval numbers down to the high 30s. A constant daily drumbeat of negativism and assaults, and it finally worked. That's what they're trying here. This election is not over. This election is not cemented. It is not validated. It isn't real because Trump is illegitimate, and the only thing Trump has, and it's important, it's the most important, the only thing he's got are his supporters. And therefore, his supporters have got to stay as energetic and as front and center and as supportive as they were during the campaign. That's all he's got. Well, he's got the power. I mean, he is the president. Don't misunderstand. But in this PR battle, in the image battle, in the buzz battle, in the narrative battle, he doesn't have anybody. Well, I take that back. Look, he's got this program for the most part. And he's got enough people of Fox News. And he's got some magazines. But he doesn't have the so-called mainstream media. So it is really important that the people that voted for him maintain their support and be publicly willing to demonstrate it. If Trump does a rally, a personal appearance, show up. Let them know, because now they're looking at crowd size. Now all of a sudden they're paying attention to crowd size. Well, jam it down their throats. This is what it's going to take. And my guess is that Trump's supporters are up for this. My guess is that you, in this audience who supported Trump, said, bring it on. I'm in. As long as Trump does what he said he's going to do. And so far, no doubt. I mean, the message so far from just 2 or 3 days of Trump, I meant it. Things that he said he was going to do, he's doing them. He started at 150 miles an hour. Freezing federal hire. But that's a big deal, by the way, because I mentioned to you on Friday about the unelected bureaucracy that just grows and grows and grows, and how bureaucracies do not want to solve problems because that means eliminating themselves, and that they'll never do. State Department really never wants to solve any. Jesse Jackson, the civil rights, they never want racism to end. They'd be out of jobs. It'd be out of work. It'd be out of purpose for living if racism officially ended. So they would never proclaim it or agree with anybody who did proclaim it. It's always going to be getting worse so they can stay in business and fundraise. Well, the bureaucracy is much the same way. The bureaucracy is made up of a bunch of people never been elected, and you can't get rid of them with an election. Unless you do what Trump's doing. Freeze federal hiring and then announce a plan to get rid of a certain percentage of the federal workforce. If he does that, I guarantee you, and if he's able to cut some spending while doing some of those other things that might sound like magic tricks, but he's able to do some of this stuff, his supporters are going to stay with him regardless. But they are all he has. Revenge of the bureaucrats of here at Politico. Revenge of the bureaucrats. Federal workers fume over Trump's vows to freeze hiring and shrink the government. As one of his first acts, Trump's expected to sign an executive order this week freezing most federal hiring. He's done that. His team is also fine-tuning plans to shrink several agencies focusing on domestic policy, according to sources close to the transition. He's on the way to doing that. Now, though, the president's about to find out how much power these maligned workers have to slow or even short-circuit his agenda. And they do have some. They're invisible. They're nameless. They can undermine all kinds. They can demand investigations by the inspector general in their various departments. And most of these people are the same kind of people that were on the feminazi march. Most of them are deranged, unhinged leftists whose career objectives have been to become lifetime bureaucrats in Washington. These are the people that issue thousands of regulations every year from the EPA, from the FDA, that don't have to go through Congress, that aren't subject to presidential signature or any of that. They just do it. These are some of the things Trump is focusing on, and these people are not going to sit back and take it. That's what the Politico story is all about. They make the point that disgruntled employees in the bureaucracy can leak information to Capitol Hill and the media. They can prod inspectors general to probe political appointees. They can use the tools of bureaucracy to slow or sandbag policy proposals. And they do. And conversely, if there's somebody in office they like Obama, they can speed it up and grease skids. This is not going to be easy, is the point. And Trump is going to need every one of his supporters. Well, let's bring it closer. He's going to need every one of his cabinet appointees to be all in. He's going to need Priebus and Bannon and Conway, Spicer, and all of these other people, Jared Kushner, whoever is in his inner circle, they are going to have to be with him 110% of the time, all the time, every time, because he doesn't have anybody else. Well, no. He's not crying over spilled milk. No. I'm not trying to engender sympathy. I'm just giving you the lay of the land. This is warfare. The left looks at it as warfare. They always have. There is no compromise. Not on core principles. There is no bipartisanship. All of those objectives are tricks. All right. Trump at the CIA. That's another story that is being, I think, totally misreported. Let me take a wild guess. If you have heard about Trump's visit to the CIA, my guess is that you have heard Trump made a fool of himself, that ended up going off the rails and talking only about himself and saying some really odd things about how his dad knew some intelligence people, so he has a great respect for intelligence people. You probably have heard that Trump at the CIA was an embarrassment and that the intelligence community is more scared than ever. That's not what happened. What happened is actually kind of important. Trump went to the CIA to tell them he supports them. You know, the CIA is made up, just like the Pentagon is. You look at generals. We have warrior generals who really want to win the war. They want to win the battle. They want to take on the enemy and skunk them. And then we have the political generals. And these are the people dominated by political correctness and climbing the ladder of success by making sure your superior gets what he wants, no matter what it is. It's basically brown-nosing, kiss-assery, whatever you want to call it. You have those guys. Then you have the war. CIA, same thing. You've got the genuine article in there who are working silently, deftly to save America, to save American lives. And then you have the politically correct political maneuverers in there, like Brennan, the current CIA head, who loathes Trump, who despises Trump, who hates Trump. He's the current CIA director. He's Obama's guy. Guy used to support communists. I mean, these are people. The CIA's got a lot of people working for them who believe the United States is the problem in the world. And the State Department, same thing. So Trump went over to not mend fences, but tell them face to face what he thinks of their work and how he appreciates it, rather than have them be guided by the fake news that's been reported. And there's fake news coming out of Trump's visit to the CIA today, too. So let's take a break. We'll continue back after this. Welcome back. El Rushbo serving humanity. Simply by showing up. Back to the phones we go. John in San Diego. I'm glad to have you, sir. How are you doing?
Oh, thanks for taking my call. Wow, there's a lot on the plate today. I had a question on the press secretary as far as the story put out about crowd size. The press secretary is the spokesman for the presidency office, and I'm just thinking, did he do it on his own to make a mistake? Was it done on purpose? And, where does this come from? And then your question about hitting back at the mainstream media.
Oh, no, wait, hold it. I don't understand your question. Are you, would you say that again? What did you, the press secretary, you're saying he lied on, you're asking me if he lied on purpose?
No, that's just it. I mean, how do we know? And the press is going after him like it was done as a lie from the, they're just conflating the numbers and it's, alternative facts, blah, 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 and the story's already manifested itself into something bigger than it is. And I'm just wondering if this, because I don't want to have Donald Trump out there saying, stories like, oh, I didn't know about this until I seen it on the news, like our previous president did all the time when something, screwed up. It's like, I didn't know about that. I saw it on the news like everybody else. And I'm just wondering if he did it on his own, or, as far as putting a story out that isn't exactly true, but, All
right, see, now I'm confused because you're asking, let me see if I can do this myself. Let me ask you if what you're asking me is this. Are you asking me, did Spicer go out on his own and say the media is lying about the crowd size, or did Trump send him out to lie for him? Is that what you're asking me?
Well, somebody
because you think, or do you think they're lying about the crowd size? You think Trump and Spicer are lying about it, and you want to know who started it?
No, it's like a fish story. When I catch a fish, it's going to be this big. Well, the story could change. It ain't no big deal about how big it was. I'm supporting Trump 100%. It's just the fact that the mainstream media is picking a story like this to go after, the administration on such a nitpicky point. Sudden they're all virtuous all of a sudden on the truth. It's hypocrisy at its finest. When it comes to a story that, the crowd wasn't that big. Well, F. Chuck Todd yesterday asking Kelly, over and over and over again about the crowd size, and it's just like, really? Come on.
Well, but I just explained that. The reason they're doing that is to try to create the illusion that Trump is not popular, that he didn't legitimately win, that there isn't that much excitement for him. It is, to them, it's not a nitpick. And that's why Trump's fighting back on it. Trump knows exactly what they're trying to do with this. What's being reported is that Trump is a megalomaniac, that he's an egomaniac, and that he's a narcissist, and that he cares about all these things like crowd size and everything. What they're not reporting is they start it. They report. They put up a couple of phony pictures side by side to try to create the impression that nobody cared about Trump's inauguration. Well, I had Trump on this program back in October, and I asked him about the constant hit back via tweet or other method that he might use, and he said he did it because he's not going to sit there and allow his name to be muddied and just sit there and have a lie establish and the roots planted and have it start growing. If it's about him, if it's about his name, his business, or his family, he's not going to put up with it. They started it. Then Trump Spicer goes out, responds to it, then they claim Trump is a baby. They claim Trump's a narcissist. They claim Trump's a megalomaniac. When they started the whole thing, designed to create an impression in people's minds that Trump is not popular, this election was some kind of a giant mistake, that all of the evidence the media can assemble and show you, like crowd size at the inauguration, why, there's nobody there compared to Obama's. Well, there's nobody there compared to even Obama's second one. Ergo, this is all a lie. Trump really isn't that popular, and something went wrong in the election, and they've got the Russian angle that they can fall back on. So, in truth, I said crowd size doesn't matter because it's not going to have any effect on whether Trump won or lost. He did. He won. It's not going to have any effect on Trump's agenda. So the size of the crowd doesn't matter. The media is trying to make it an issue. And the difference here is Trump hits back. And they claim Trump has no right to hit back. Trump has no right to respond to what they do. This is not what presidents do. He should be above that and let them get away with whatever they want to say. Now, then I asked you, I think you're prepared. The next question is, John, what about Trump hitting back on all these things? Do you like it or not? Do you wish he would not respond to all of it, or do you like the fact that he does?
I like the fact that he hits back as long as it's short, to the point, and don't dwell on it. When they start asking you the same question over and over and over again, 10 different ways like Chuck Todd does, just get to the quick answer and move on. It's like when they start dwelling on crowd size, really, is this going to be like the next 4 years about crowd size? Just get to the point, don't hit back, over and over and over again on one subject. Just get to the point and move on.
Well, but the problem is with that, you're talking in this case about Kellyanne Conway, who's on Meet the Press, and F. Chuck Todd is trying to make big deal out of crowd size, and he's showing her this and showing her that, and audience size, because Trump talked about largest audience, not crowd. That's another distinction that he made. Audience is different than the live crowd at the event. And he said that his is number 2, as announced by Entertainment Weekly, which used Nielsen numbers. By the time you throw in streaming and social media, which wasn't as prominent 8 years ago, it's probably true that Trump's got the second most watched inaugural. Everybody's acknowledging Obama's in 2009 because of the historical aspect, first black president and all that. But if Kellyanne is on the show and F. Chuck Todd doesn't let her go, and he keeps poking, and she's not in control of that. She's not the one continuing to hit back. Chuck Todd is continuing to ask her. So she comes out with the answer, well, Chuck, Sean had some alternative facts. And the media jumps all over that. Alternative facts? What do you mean alternative facts? There aren't any alternative facts. Yes, there are. The media's first facts are not true. The media is purposely lying about, I can't tell you how much. They lie about the Martin Luther King bust being thrown out. For crying out loud, the media didn't tell us the truth and didn't demand the truth from Hillary on Benghazi. It's just beyond the pale here. How much fake news the media is responsible for and is behind. And so Trump responds to it, and they ignore their role in it and then say Trump is small-minded, megalomaniac, small-minded narcissist, when all Trump's doing is reacting, which is what we have always wanted people on our side to do, by the way, folks. We have always wanted them to fight back, and we got mad when they didn't. Now, if the media keeps bringing it up, like he continuing to ask Kellyanne Conway a number of times, I mean, I guess she can try to shut it down. But there isn't any way to control what the media does. You really can't shut them up with alternative facts. You can't shut them up by embarrassing them. You can't. They're who they are because this is warfare, and their mission is to destroy Donald Trump. And that cannot be forgotten. Whenever you watch any of this back and forth, you cannot forget what the objective here is to destroy Trump's presidency, and the sooner the better, as far as they are concerned. I tell you, I take the occasion. John, thanks for the call. You know, I took a break from things over the weekend, and it must have been Friday night or Saturday. I forget. No, it could have been Saturday to play golf, so it had to be Friday night. Yeah, it was because the inauguration was Friday. So here's what happened. You remember when Trump and Melania arrived at the White House? And Obama and Michelle Maybell are out there waiting for him. And Trump and Melania get out of the limo, and Melania has a gift for Michelle. Do you remember this? And it was looked like a pretty decent-sized box from Tiffany. And stuff at Tiffany is not inexpensive. I mean, you can find some things at Tiffany relatively, but not in that size box. So Melania gives Michelle the box, and Michelle stands there holding it in both hands, kind of looking around like, what is this? What do I do with this? She tries to give it to an aide to take because she wants her hands free. There were some still shot photos from that video taken, and I'm reading my tech blogs about this Friday night, and they're making fun of Melania for having the audacity to give Michelle something from Tiffany, and they think Michelle is the greatest in the world because of this expression of disdain on her face. They happen to catch a still shot from video in which Michelle looks like she's somewhat frowning, and my left-wing liberal tech bloggers thought that was the greatest thing. They thought Michelle was disrespecting Melania. They thought Melania had been foolish and stupid and uppity to give Michelle a gift. And they thought Michelle handled it with aplomb by showing her disgust. And I'm thinking, what has happened to our country? When you go anywhere, if you go for dinner, you take something, you take a bottle of wine. It's standard ordinary procedure when you're invited. So in this case, Melania Trump was trying to extend a little informal gift, and even that became some kind of a sign of disrespect to the Obamas, but Michelle handled it well. Look at the expression on her face. She clearly didn't have any desire to take anything from Mrs. Trump. And these young millennials just thought it was the greatest thing. You know, and I'm thinking, what in the world is happening to just base manners? How in the world is giving incoming First Lady to outgoing First Lady a gift? What in the world is controversial about that? What is hateful about it? Why, how can you see anything in that exchange that makes you feel happy because you think Michelle dissed Melania? There's some really, really putrid, sick cultural rot taking place in our country. And you have to look harder and harder to ignore it. And this crowd-sized debate and the audience-sized debate, folks, it's not one thing John's right about. It isn't about that at all. It's about the left media, their ongoing effort to delegitimize Trump. And I'll tell you what's happening here. The media is delegitimizing itself. If there's any delegitimacy happening, Here's Spicer. We got to take a break. We'll come back and listen to a little bit of this right after this. Don't go away. Okay, we are back. Great to have you here, folks. Sean Spicer at the press briefing. The fireworks haven't begun yet. He's still doing the opening statement. Hope he gets to some questions here before we have to break again. But here we go. Sean Spicer,
Steamfitters United briefing. Association, Local 602. Frank Spencer, United Brotherhood Carpenters. Doug McCarran, General President, United Brotherhood of Carpenters. Mark Coles of Ironworkers Local 5. Joseph Sellers Jr., the General President of the Sheet Metal Workers Union / Smart Union. Thelma M. Matta, the Heat and Frost Insulators and Allied Workers Local 24. Mark Yurkowski, United Association Local 5. Stephen Dodd, the Sheet Metal Workers Union / Smart Union. Gary Massino, the Sheet Metal Workers Union / Smart Union. The President has been honored to receive tremendous support from union working men and women on Election Day, and he's dedicated to growing and deepening. Take this down.
Let me explain what's going on here, folks. This briefing has been underway for about 5 or 10 minutes, and what Spicer's doing is basically establishing all the support that Trump has had, the things that have happened, that his president has signed, is preparing to sign, and all that. I think the purpose of this right now is for Spicer to lay out a foundation of just how much support there is for the president already and how it has manifested itself. And it's setting up the questions which are to come. I don't know how long the briefing period's going to go on here before he gets to questions, but here's some more of it.
The White House Chief of Staff, our Chief Strategist, Chief of Staff to the Vice President, and Chiefs of Staff from those respective offices. The purpose of the meeting is to get the President's agenda moving through Congress. The American people are frustrated with the lack of progress.
Remember, these people, take it back down, these people have a whole different view now of what the press briefing's all about. I think we're seeing this here. It's going to have an entirely different format, purpose. We'll see.
During this meeting, it's important to note that at this point in 2009, President Obama had 7 of his nominees confirmed on day 1 and 5 more in the first week. As it stands today, we have 2. Democrats even held up the confirmation of CIA Director Mike Pompeo, needlessly leaving one of our most important national security agencies without its top leader on day 1. It's time for Senate Democrats to stop playing political games with the core functions of government and to allow President Trump's unquestionably qualified and talented group of cabinet nominees to get to work on behalf of the American people. Rounding out today's schedule, after the reception that I mentioned, he will have dinner with, we have a meeting with the House Speaker, Paul Ryan. They will discuss the Republican legislative agenda and strategy going forward. Early in the day, the President nominated former New Mexico Congresswoman Heather Wilson as the next Secretary of the Air Force. She grew up in Keene, New Hampshire, and made history as part of the 3rd U.S. Air Force Academy class that included women. She earned her master's degree and doctoral degrees as a Rhodes Scholar at Oxford in England, and then served as an Air Force officer in Europe during the Cold War and on the National Security Office.
We're going to have to bump out of this maximum 1 minute from now anyway. So as I was saying, what Spicer, he talked about Trump's phone call with al-Sisi in Egypt, who Obama hated and ignored as best he could. Talked about Trump's schedule today, which includes meeting with union heads later this afternoon. We've got a meeting with Paul Ryan coming up. Talked about the lack of support from the Democrats on confirming cabinet appointees, pointing out that on the first day, Obama had 7. Republicans confirmed 7 of them. Of course, he was the first African-American president. There weren't going to be any traditional political delays. But Spicer pointed out that the Democrats have only allowed 2 votes so far and have reneged on a deal to confirm Pompeo at the CIA. So the press is sitting there listening to all this, outraged. They don't want it. This doesn't mean anything to them. Trump's schedule, who Trump's meeting with, who Trump did meet with. This is supposed to be where the press gets to tear into Spicer and Trump, and Spicer not letting them. We got to take a break, and we're going to miss some of the questioning, but our machines are rolling, and we'll capture whatever highlights there are and be able to share them with you as the program unfolds. All right, a Q&A just started. And our machines are rolling, recording the audio. Any highlights we will have. I noticed he's calling out reporters by name and in order. fairly common. Nothing unusual there. Sit tight, my friends. Final busy broadcast hour coming right up.